Good morning, everyone. If you're looking for today's sermon, then this is it. This isn't strictly about today's passages, but I will touch on the New Testament reading from Matthew at the end. Most of you will know that earlier this year, before the coronavirus chaos hit our country, in February, I went with Linda from St Mary's Great Bado to Rwanda and Uganda. And I just want to say again a big thank you to all of you who brought supplies to church for me to take to Potter's Village, the child rescue centre in Uganda. I'm going to talk more about my experience there in a little while. First, I want to give you a brief background of Rwanda. So Rwanda is located in Central Africa, bordering Uganda, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Burundi and Tanzania. And I wonder if you've visited any of these countries yourself and you've got your own experiences. Rwanda has a very traumatic recent past that I was unaware of before Linda invited me to watch the film Hotel Rwanda. I won't go into too much detail because you can find out more by watching the film yourself. But back in April 1994, there began a horrific genocide. Members of the Hutu ethnic group began merciless killings of other Rwandans that identified as the minority group Tutsi. Almost 1 million people were slaughtered in just 100 days, while the rest of the world did little to help. So we flew from Gatwick to Kigali, Rwanda's capital, which is marked by the star on the map. And we visited a hotel. To the next slide. That became a sanctuary and a lifesaver for Tutsi people during the genocide. It was amazing to walk the corridors of the Milcolline and remember the courageous acts of the hotel manager that saved the lives of 700 people there. The hotel manager traded food and drink and used the contacts of the remaining middle-class guests to keep the armed militia at bay. As things became more desperate, they had to empty the swimming pool for drinking water. This situation makes me think of the Book of Esther and how Esther found herself in a situation where she could do something to save her people. She accepted that she might die, but she trusted it all to God. While we were in Kigali, we also visited a charity for street boys. The number of street children in Rwanda runs into the thousands. Many have lost their parents to disease, whereas others have just run away from home because they weren't being cared for. I met Evod and Rebecca, who share their home with 30 street boys, along with their 3 lovely children, Kaiser, Caleb and Daniel. Evod himself grew up on the streets in Rwanda, so he knows the difference that charities like this can make to these children's lives. The ages of the boys range from 6 to early 20s, when they're encouraged to look for a job to support themselves. The younger boys live downstairs in the house, and the older boys live in some outbuildings in the garden. They're encouraged to wash their own clothes and attend school. A lady is employed to cook meals for the children and young people, and you can see from the picture over here on the left, that is quite a basic outdoor kitchen. Evod regularly goes out to offer less fortunate street children food, clothes, and a shower back at their house. The house is not yet finished, but work is underway for an indoor bathroom and fundraising for more bunk beds. Currently, 2 boys have to share each bunk. Ubaka Rwanda is now one of our Tithe charities for this year. So do visit their website, which is on this slide, and ask me if you'd like to find out more. The charity is registered in the UK and represented by Rebecca's family and friends. Mark chapter 9, verses 36 and 37 says, "Anyone who welcomes a little child like this on my behalf welcomes me, and anyone who welcomes me welcomes not only me, but also the Father who sent me. So Linda has supported 2 Rwandan students for some years, and we met up with both of them during our time in Rwanda. Emmanuel's dream had been to build his own house, and we visited this on our return from Uganda. Emmanuel also works for an American charity set up for street children. He has built a second house, which is currently unfinished, that he hopes to rent out to provide some further income, which is located next to the house that he's built for himself. And there's a picture in the top left corner of the house when it's in progress of being built, and then a very dark picture I took because it was already dark when we got there, and so my picture's not very good quality. And a picture of his 2 dogs that live in the garden, and that in the middle is a picture of Linda with Emmanuel on the right and his girlfriend Alice on the left at the wedding we went to. So at his house, Emmanuel also plans to sell eggs from his chickens that he's got, and he breeds pigs. So he's very motivated to earn his own income. And Linda's other student, Solange, studied medicine and now works for World Vision in the DRC, the Democratic Republic of the Congo. One of the places we stayed at was Lake Kivu, which borders the Democratic Republic of the Congo and Rwanda. And recently I've done some research on the DRC and found that most travel insurance companies will not cover you to visit there. And it's scary to think how close we were to the border. So in the top right hand picture, I don't know if you can see it, whether my video is over the top of it, and the bit of land sticking out is actually the DRC. So we were very close to the border. 60% of the DRC's population lives on less than $1 a day. So that makes sense of the extreme violence that you can come across if you go there. And because of this, World Vision is working with children and their families to protect them from being recruited by armed groups or by mining companies to mine cobalt, which is used in mobile phones. Due to poverty, children as young as 6 years old have been employed in mines there. It's dangerous work, even for experienced adults, let alone children. In Potter's Village Medical Centre, I met a very malnourished little boy who had been brought in from a refugee camp in the DRC. As a side note, I thought I would add that it's become more of a trend for Rwandans to wish to pursue further education. But like in the UK, there are very few jobs available, even fewer in fact. Many young people are unable to get skilled jobs, even with qualifications, so they need to be inventive and motivated if they want to live a relatively comfortable life. You can definitely see the difference and confidence that Linda's sponsorship has given to both Emmanuel and Solange. This next slide has some pictures of the wedding we attended before we left Rwanda, near Lake Kivu. The bride, Aline, was one of the students that Jeanette, on the right-hand side of the photo of the 3 of us, has supported for a number of years. The start of the wedding was a bit awkward actually, as the bride and groom were over an hour late and the priest was not happy. In all seriousness, he made them apologise to all their guests, and he refused to start the wedding until he had been given more money for his wasted time. The second half of my trip was spent at Potter's Village in Kisoro, Uganda. And Kisoro is located in the southernmost tip of Uganda, so it's the one with the big red text at the top. And it's about a 2-hour drive from where we were for the wedding in Gisenyi on Lake Kivu. We travelled there in a private taxi, which was a bit more comfortable than the previous private taxi we'd used that had a big rip in the seat with ants climbing up, and me and Linda got bitten quite a lot. So that was a funny experience. But it was more comfortable driving to Kisoro, thankfully. So Kisoro is where Potter's Village is located. So So that's the sign as you drive up the muddy road and the gate, Potters Village. And so this is what you see as you look in the gates of Potters Village. So the Volunteers Hostel where me and Linda stayed is the building on the left, and the doctor also lives there. And families are downstairs that are part of the nutritional programme. And then in the middle, some of the families stay there if their children are having treatment in a medical centre. And the medical centre is down the road, the arrow pointing down there. And then the buildings on the right are the admin and social work offices on the wards that they've just recently added. And there's a hand washing point as you come in to try to protect people against Ebola and other diseases, although it's just cold water and soap, so I don't know how effective that is. And here we have some of the staff members, so I'll just let you have a look at that for a minute. Dr. Mickey and Jamie weren't there when me and Linda were visiting, but we met all of the rest of the staff and they're really nice, friendly people. So every day in Uganda, 16 women die in childbirth or as a result of pregnancy. When the mothers die, the extended family are often unable to take care of such a young child while trying to provide for the rest of the family. As a result, Potters Village has 2 baby rooms, Angels and Faith, where children can be cared for until the families are ready or another family can be found to foster or adopt them. Some of the babies stay until their first birthday, and up to 18 babies can live on site, and they have carers with them 24/7. So these are pictures of the Angels baby room that we spent most of our time in, and there's a lady sterilising all the bottles in the left-hand corner. So most of mine and Linda's time working at Potters Village was in the Angel baby room. There we spent time with Perfect and Mary, Ernest and Barnabas, twins Prossie and Prosper, and the youngest, Anna, who's only a month old. All but Mary's mother had died in childbirth, and they were waiting to return home to extended family. Mary's mother was suffering from mental health problems, and there is little in way of care and support for this in Uganda. At feeding times, Linda and I would feed the babies boiled cow's milk from the Potters Village milking cows. They only use formula for the very young babies, so Anna was still taking this. The older children, Barnabas and Perfect, would then have a meal of mushed beans grown on site. The reusable nappies and other supplies that I took over were very gratefully received. So all these nappies, the things that you guys brought into church, and there's a blanket, the blanket at the bottom that is wrapped up around Ernest was a blanket that Beryl knitted the squares for, and I put them together and took it out there. And in the bottom left is a sort of mobile that my friend gave me to take, and I really like that, looking in the mirror particularly. And Linda and I demonstrated how to put the reusable nappies on and make their lives a bit easier. The carers would sing to the babies, so we also taught them some new songs too. And it was funny to walk in and they'd be singing them. I found out during the lockdown that one of the babies, Barnabas, very sadly died of a heart defect. He had been diagnosed with asthma from birth, but the problem with his heart was not known. When he returned to his extended family in March, he became ill, and the lockdown meant that there was no public transport to take him to hospital. It's a stark contrast to our lives here in the UK, where we complain if a bus is running late. So the coronavirus is not having such a big impact on Potter's Village at the moment, but at the start, when Uganda was locked down, there was no public transport for any children to get to Potter's Village for medical care. So the medical centre was struggling financially. But thankfully, they managed to raise enough money to keep the staff on, although the staff did have to take a reduced wage for a while. And many staff had to live at Potter's Village because they were unable to get home because they relied on public transport. But as the lockdown has reduced now, shops are open again, so it's easier for medical supplies to be purchased, and the staff are all living at home now because public transport is running, although at half capacity. So I thought I'd just mention the animals at Potter's Village. So they've recently started breeding pigs that they hope to sell to get some income. And when I was there, some more piglets were born. So the bottom left picture, those piglets are a day old, and they're in the pig pen that you can see on the right, which isn't quite finished yet. But they've had 2 litters of piglets. Sadly, a few of them had died because there wasn't enough milk to feed them from the mother. And then in the top left, there's some milk that's from the cows. So the milk we had in our tea was straight from the cow, and that actually tasted really nice. And in the top middle is the paddock where the cows live. So our hostel room looked out onto that. And these are the 2 guard dogs of Potter's Village that I spent quite a lot of time with as well. Due to the pigs not feeding properly, it also meant it had a knock-on effect on the dogs, because the food that was going to the dogs had to go to the pigs to make up for what they weren't getting from the mother pig. So I ended up feeding Simba and Otis each day to make sure they were okay. So I think for us here, we can manage, if something happens, we can easily compensate, whereas over there it has knock-on effects on different aspects of the running of Potter's Village. So, but by the time I left, they had both put on weight, so I was feeling a bit happier about that. So while we were there, we didn't just sit around, we did some varnishing. We varnished the door, we spent time with the babies, and we also had to sort out a big pile of shoes into pairs that had been sent over there from charities. So that was an interesting job, pairing up all of these shoes. And that's the hostel that we stayed in the top left corner on the top floor. I thought you might be interested in the food. So we mostly ate rice and beans, which I really loved actually, and avocados growing on the trees. At one of the places we stayed at, when we left, one of the staff members gave me a massive bag of avocados, and we were eating them for the rest of the trip, and they were so huge compared to the ones that you can buy here, and they were only 12.5p each, which is amazing. So I actually brought some back home with me too. We had a lot of omelettes as well for breakfast. I guess it's quite European, maybe stems from the Belgian roots of Rwanda in the past. And I had some pineapple jam, that was really nice, homemade pineapple jam that we had on our toast, and Zambaza fish here, which were caught on Lake Kivu, which we were right next to, very little fish that are being fried. And in the top right corner, I don't know if you can see it, is called matoke. So it's a type of banana that they cook, and you can mix with meat and beans and sauce. It's really nice. And very cute little mini bananas too. Margaret and her family were some people that we met in Kizoro. They live in Uganda, and Margaret is a Christian, and she is struggling quite a bit at the moment as she is running a school, and schools are currently closed. But before all that, There was issues with teachers taking fees of students and not giving it to Margaret, so she was struggling to pay to keep running the school and paying the teachers, but the teachers were taking the fees from the students. So she's trying to grow mushrooms at the moment. So she's built a big tin shed in her garden and is hoping to sell mushrooms to the local hotels. So please pray for Margaret and her daughter Patience and her granddaughter Esther, who's in the top right corner. I'm still in touch with them. But it was just so great to meet a Christian family over there who, although they're having a really tough life, they're just depending on God for everything and knowing that he will provide, and so far he has for them. And they were such a lovely, welcoming family. And we just pray that Margaret is able to keep going with the mushrooms business, and that when hotels are open again, she'll be able to start selling them to the hotels and get some more income. And thank you to Esme Brett, who gave me this bag to take out that Esther really loved, and she's coloured it in, takes it to school. So in today's New Testament reading, Jesus asked his disciples, "Who do you say I am?" And I think it's amazing that with all our differences in cultures, languages and ways of life, there are people all over the world, people who are part of our worldwide church family, that are giving the same answers. Jesus is the Son of God. Jesus is my friend. Jesus is a miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. People are recognizing this and doing great things in Jesus' name. Who is Jesus to you?